what I hope is that they accept the idea that it's one of my books, and one of the chapters of my work it's called A Strange Loop. That's a combination of science, art, philosophy, and mysticism. And if you do that, if you accept that and you develop the four faculties in you, then I think we are going a step in the direction of a peaceful world.
Hi, I'm Zack Newmark, and you're with Damn Yankee, the show that brings you all the top entertainers, comedians, authors, and artists based here in the Netherlands and those traveling through the country. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Today, something a little bit different. We're joined by 84-year-old Amsterdam resident Dr. André Klukhuhn, a noted physical chemist who gave up his career in the sciences to become a philosopher in the 1970s based at the University of Utrecht. He's a very interesting, thought-provoking person who has been considered one of the most influential and intriguing philosophers in the Netherlands for a number of years. We're very lucky to have him here to tell us not only about how his lovely hometown of Amsterdam has developed around him over the years, but also to tell us a little bit more about his theories on life and his theories about how humanity can kind of move towards peace. We're lucky enough to have been able to peel him away from the Café Schiller, his favorite cafe here in the city center of Amsterdam. And it's also one of my spots that I used to hang out at quite a bit. And I'm very lucky to have you here. Did you always hang out there?
I come there now almost 60 years. 50, 60 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you keep going back there?
Because my friends are coming there and the other writers. And if you go, it's it's the best cafe restaurant of Amsterdam too. It has the coziness of a cafe and it has the style of a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have a cafe and people are laying their feet on the table and or you have a restaurant and you can't talk anymore. It's sad, but Chile has the right combination of cafe and restaurant. So the kitchen is good.
Yeah.
The menu is good. Yeah.
And it's been there for a long time. And, have you seen the city sort of change around it? Or have you seen the city of Amsterdam change around you?
Yeah, I'm born here in Amsterdam 84 years ago.
Yeah.
And the result, it changed a lot.
I mean, you were born right as the Netherlands got into the war, as the occupation started.
Yes, I'm born in 1940. And that's the year where the war started.
Yeah.
And I lived in Amsterdam all the time. But the first 3 years, I don't know much about it.
No, but how over the decades, how do you feel like the city has changed and developed?
Well, the place where I live now was the old Jewish part of Amsterdam. It is completely ruined. Mm-hmm. So I could afford to buy that home because it was ruined. Doesn't cost much money. So we bought it and did a lot of work. And then Amsterdam changed in the sense that it rebuilt completely.
Mm. But I mean, in terms of culture and attitude,
I'm growing up in it, so it changed, but every day a little bit. So it's Amsterdam,
mm-hmm.
and it's always been Amsterdam. It was the magical center of the world for a while in the 60s, in the 70s,
mm-hmm.
and there are now a lot of tourists coming.
Yeah.
And when I was born there, it was not the case, of course. There were no tourists. And there are many now.
And many more even than when I moved here. I moved here almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now. And, it's sort of, it was already a busy city the first time I visited, but it's still quite, it's many, many more people come and visit the city center now, I think.
Yeah. It makes it a rich city. because the tourists spend a lot of money. So, and you can see it in the city. All the houses are well kept up
yeah. But the mayor now, Femke Halsema, is one of your former students when you were a professor in Utrecht.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
And if anybody, she's sort of leading the charge against tourism or against over tourism now. Do you?
Well, I'm the last time, not so long ago, I met her in Café Schiller. She's eating there too.
Mm-hmm.
She visited there. And then I told her that I was very proud of her because she does very, very well with Amsterdam.
Do you remember when that was?
2 years ago, maybe. Well, I see her more, but I always don't speak with her. She has her table and I have my table. Yeah.
What's the neighborhood in the city that you live in? Do you live in De Wallen or in a different part of the city center?
I'm born in a very poor part of Amsterdam. My parents were, laborers, and we hadn't much money. No money at all, finally. So, and then I moved through all parts of Amsterdam, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived in the east part for 2 years, and I've lived in the north part for 12 years, and I'm born in the west part.
Mm-hmm.
And now living in the center, and that's what you want to do. If you're born in Amsterdam, you want to end up in the center.
Which district in the center are you in? Which neighborhood?
It's called the red light district.
You're in the red light district.
Yeah, I'm not really into the red light in the middle, but the area is called the red light districts, but I don't have horse around me living. No, they are.
You're in De Wallen.
Sorry?
In De Wallen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how is that, how do you feel about that neighborhood and how that's changing? Because, you've had sort of, the mayor now wants to make a lot of changes there. The previous mayor, the previous two mayors also had a lot of influence in that area.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I bought a ruin. The house the roof was gone. I had to, and it changed completely because they built there the opera. Mm-hmm. And so everybody had to rebuild his house to make it the red carpet of the city.
Right.
And now it's beautiful to live there because and on the other side of the canal where I live there, I have built the last couple of years the university, the center of the university is there.
Okay. And but you haven't always lived in Amsterdam, of course, right? Because you also you studied, you ended up as a professor in Utrecht. Did you live in Utrecht?
No,
you lived here and you traveled there.
Yeah, it was one of the things I had to do to change to live in Utrecht, because the problem with Utrecht is they want to be a city, mm-hmm. but they are a village.
Right.
And so everybody who works at Utrecht University lives in Amsterdam. Dus every day I travel from Amsterdam in the train and back with all the people who live in Amsterdam and worked in Utrecht. Mm-hmm. So they have finally decided that everybody who worked at the university had to live in Utrecht. But I walked there around for a couple of days, and you don't want to be, as we say in Dutch, to be found dead there.
You don't want to die in Utrecht.
No.
I read something about you that when you were the chair of the Studium Generale at Utrecht, so this sort of, for people who don't know what that is, I guess, a kind of almost like open courses and lectures for the academic community, but also the people who live in the area and are just sort of interested.
Yes.
Did you have an issue with the former mayor, Ivo Opstelten, who later was the Minister of Justice, about whether or not the university was well integrated in with the city?
Yeah, that was a lot of change there. When I started in Utrecht, the university was spread out over the city with houses left and right. And my first place there was a house with a large garden, and then the world changed, the university, so we had to give in money and less money and less money. So I ended up at the Uithof, as it is called, the part in the outside of Utrecht, with a very small room with more people in it. So it was a way from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
So, and I was glad that I could go away then.
Yeah, because you also, I mean, you've got this really unusual career trajectory where you studied as a chemist.
Yeah.
You have your doctoral, your PhD in chemistry.
Physical chemistry.
Physical chemistry. Yeah, excuse me. But you left that world, and your reasons for leaving that world to go more towards philosophy are very interesting.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So can you tell me about that?
Well, my work in the Amsterdam University and my thesis was about semiconductor conductors. I had to travel. They were before the chips.
Mm-hmm.
We had semiconductors, and all the computers were like this because the semiconductors were that while the chips are very, very small. But then I discovered that they use the semiconductors too for weapons, self-guiding rockets. And it were the 70s, so for that time you didn't want to work for the weapon industry. So I decided to leave. And my professor said, you can't leave anymore because you are educated for 11 years in this profession, and what are you going to do? I didn't know, but I wanted to leave. And the same week, I told that yesterday in the other podcast. The same week, there appeared an advertisement in the newspaper that the Utrecht University was looking for a doctored physicist who wanted to leave his job and wanted to work at the general studies. Because in a general studies office were a lot of people working, but a philosopher and a psychologist and all soft directions in science, and they were looking for a physicist. So I came there, and I've been out of job for a week. Then I had another job at the Utrecht University.
Just 1 week.
Yeah.
Whether you've lived in the Netherlands for years or are getting ready to move here, the best time to learn the Dutch language is right now. Learning Dutch with the Delft method at Nedles is extremely effective because you start speaking the language from the very first day, actively putting the vocabulary you learn to good use. Nedles offers courses at all levels, both online and in person, at their location right here in Amsterdam. Their experienced teachers are specially trained in the Delft method, which combines studying a piece of text at home and then using words from the reading material in conversations during the next class. Students often say they feel supported at Nedles and praise the teachers for creating a safe space where they can overcome their fears of making mistakes. They also specialize in helping long-term immigrants, like me, tap into the passive knowledge they have about Dutch so they feel more comfortable speaking and writing in the language. Dutch classes begin at all levels on a rolling basis, so sign up today and save 10% using discount code PODCAST. Find out more at nedles.com. That's NEDLES.com. Nedles, Dutch for internationals. But you've spoken out pretty firmly about government and military funding of your original field and of the sciences in general. And do you still feel like, is that still an issue today? Is that still something that, we see a lot of activists in this area that are trying to more and more, create separation between, defense spending and the universities, or between weapons manufacturers and companies in general and universities. So, but do you consider yourself kind of a pioneer in that?
Well, I didn't know that, but I think that the industries have a very loud voice and in scientific investigation.
Mm-hmm. And is that a problem?
I think yes.
What can we do to move away from that?
Well, to move away from that. Well, we always try, but it never. The industry has a lot of money, and they bought science. Everything is bought by the industry and science too. And I've very many examples of it, that the industry could choose the direction of the investigations.
Well, that was a big reason why you tried to hand back in your doctoral.
Oh, you know that.
I do.
You know that too, yes.
So
yes.
Because that was in the mid 1990s that you tried to.
Yeah.
You and a psychiatrist friend of yours, Pete Vroon.
Yes.
The two of you together. I don't want to call it a stunt, because obviously it's something you feel very strongly about.
Yeah.
But the two of you wanted to give up your doctoral degree.
We wanted, but it was not possible, because there is no office where you can go with. If you doctorate, it's lifelong. It's not possible.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, exactly. But we wanted to make this statement. What happened? All the universities are giving doctorates to politicians and people from the industries. Albert Heijn was one of the men who gave a doctorate by the how is it called,
Nijrode, right?
A Nijrode University. It was not a university. It was what you call a high school.
Yeah, like not a university, but a sort of a college.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they all wanted to be a university. Story is a bit too complicated, but the director of the Nijrode University was married to the mayor of Rotterdam, and the mayor of Rotterdam was related to the minister of Science and Education. So it was a kind of clique,
Right.
So the Nijrode College became, from one day to the other, to Nijrode University. But they didn't change the program, they just changed the name.
Right.
And because they became a university, they could give doctorates to people who studied there. And one of the people was Albert Heijn, and
Albert Heijn, the grocery store.
Yeah, the
supermarket chain founder.
Yeah.
The creator of the barcode, they say.
Yeah, not creator. No, I found the barcode in England.
Okay.
He just took it from England to Holland. That was
the first use here of the barcode, I guess.
He didn't create the barcode. No, not at all.
But that's what they said was the reason for giving him the doctorate. Yeah. But you and your colleague, you and your friend, really took offense to that.
Yes,
that he was given that.
Yeah, we said if he gets one free because he stole something from England and brought it to the Netherlands, then we don't want to have our doctorate anymore.
I was still able to find, the old articles that were written about it in the newswires back 35 years ago when it happened.
Yeah.
And what I read into it was that you were upset about the commercialization of science.
Yes.
You were upset about the commercialization of the academic world.
Yeah.
You were You were upset about the overall degrading or deteriorating quality of academic life.
That's true, yes.
And you were upset about the questionable integrity of
Yeah.
universities
Yeah.
and of higher education in general. Has that
Sure.
gotten any better in 30 years?
No, it's no. Instead, it's going worse.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah. The programs are shortened. There are many more students in
The money's getting cut.
the money is getting cut, and and what happened in the United States now is even worse. The university is
A tax on intellectual integrity.
yes.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's difficult to know how we can move forward and with preserving universities as a place for independent thought.
I hope that Harvard is keeping their backbone straight and doesn't bend for Trump. And in Amsterdam and in Holland, we should do the same.
Yeah. Do you think can they? Are the Dutch universities strong enough to take a stand against the Dutch government?
So they have to. What the Dutch university did was to attract foreign students, and they had a lot of programs in English because they get money for it. That's always the money. And the problem with change now, they are forced to change back. There's less foreign students, but that costs a lot of money so everybody is trying to keep the situation as it is instead of changing.
Would you go back to working in a university if anybody asked you to?
No, that's right. By accident last week, I met a former student of mine, and I told him that I'm glad that I could leave the university, but I miss my students.
Right.
That's what I miss, but not the university.
No.
It's a kind of industry.
It's an interesting time also because, and I was happy to talk to you about when you left chemistry out of concerns about commercialization and connections to military purpose for your work. And here we have, the former prime minister, the longest serving prime minister of the Netherlands, is currently the head of NATO.
Yeah.
And the next NATO summit is going to be in The Hague in just a couple of months. And I was curious, what your feelings are about that, because, that's something that on the one hand, you've sort of worked at, or you felt opposed, not necessarily felt opposed to NATO, but you felt opposed to NATO's connections to the academic world.
Sure, yeah.
But now here they are, and they're going to be here. And, so I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that?
I wrote about it, but I'm a European. I believe in Europe. Religious roots are for Europe, and the mythological roots of Europe, and the political roots of Europe. So I think we need an army, a European army. It's a political system, European political system, and an economic political system, but a cultural, diverse system that are all the peoples can have their own culture, guided by the army and the economics.
Americans, you still have one last chance to collect the extra $1,400 the U.S. government owes you from round 3 of the stimulus package if you're behind on your taxes. The experts at My Expat Taxes can guide you through the process, just like they helped me. If you haven't filed taxes in the U.S. in a while, or ever, My Expat Taxes will quickly and easily bring you up to date with the IRS. That way, you can still collect that stimulus check, but only if you sign up and file by June 16th. Even after living abroad for 17 years, American tax bureaucracy used to feel like a Kafka-esque nightmare for me, but not anymore. My Expat Taxes gives me a real sense of relief with their easy-to-use, up-to-date software, maximizing tax benefits like the foreign earned income exclusion, and they even filed my bank account reporting at no extra charge. They are secure and reliable with a commitment to data privacy and confidentiality. So whether you're catching up or simply filing your return on time, let the experts at My Expat Taxes wipe away your tax anxiety. Use discount code DAMYANKEE and get 10% off your purchase. That's DAMYANKEE, Damn Yankee. At myexpattaxes.com, your life just got a whole lot easier. And so you went from that and you ended up going almost fully throwing yourself into philosophy and philosophical thought from that.
Yeah.
And is there
philosophy and art and mysticism?
Philosophy and art and mysticism and music, as you said, also.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what's a kind of art? Yeah.
So, what sort of separates being a physical chemist from, being a philosopher? I mean, is there a crossover?
Well, one of the points of my philosophy is that everybody has four possibilities to cope with the world. One is looking at the outside world, being a scientist, feeling how it is to be. Has nothing to do with science. That's with art, what art does. And if you know these two possibilities, then you must have a new meta position, so you can choose between the two. That's philosophy. And then because science, philosophy, and art are very narrow areas, there must be a lot of unknown things, and that's mysticism.
Mm-hmm.
And all these four faculties, everybody possesses all these four faculties, and only the accent can be different. You can be an artist, nevertheless know about science and know about mysticism and know about philosophy. And you can be a philosopher and know about the other things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do, develop all our faculties.
When you say we, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hope that I'm talking to a lot of people, but I'm afraid there are not so many.
Can you expand on that?
All the ideologies in the world went wrong because people are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Communism is a very good political system. Everybody the same and the same possibilities. Everybody is equal. It's the same as the Christianity has the same ideas, but we always make a mess of it. It ends always in violence, and I'm afraid that we have to go a long way before we are out of that. We have an ideology without violence.
As a philosopher, do you believe in an idea of a collective unconscious?
Collective unconscious, yes. Yes, I'm sure, yeah. As a matter of speaking.
Mm-hmm. And is that something, that drives us? Is that something that we can, is that something that we can use to, as a society, to push society forward? Or is it something that always at the end of the day, it's a battle or a struggle?
Well, part of my philosophy is that we are all actors too. So if you know about Immanuel Kant, philosopher, is the first philosopher who said, I don't know if God exists,
mm-hmm.
but in many cases, it's a good idea to do as if God exists. And if there is that we one day that we are judged for our behavior as if God exists. I don't know if that's true, but we have to act and live as if there is a God.
Is that how you've lived your life?
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you demonstrate that in your own life?
I learned what I have done is to learn to accept that there are different ways of thinking, and not try to correct the other people, like colonialism, that we go to another country and see a nice country, but you have to listen to me how you have to do it. The idea is that you have to broaden your consciousness in accepting that there are people who are talking to trees.
How do we encourage people to do that? Because there are a lot of people who will just take offense if you don't believe what they believe. Yeah. Or on the other side, there are people who try to sort of police or be a traffic cop for other people's ideas and say, no, you're wrong, or it can't be like that. How do we encourage that as an idea?
The only thing I can do, and that's what I do, is write books about it. And
you've written a lot.
And in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, in August, my Opus Magnum is appearing as a printed version. It's now on the internet. You can read it, but then it's free books. And the only thing I can do is write about it and try to let people read it. And
your magnum opus is something that I understand you've been working on for a very long time and developing for a long time, that, editing and looking back over your work. And, is it something that you'll ever feel truly like it's finished? I mean, I know it's coming to the publisher now, but is it ever something that you personally will ever feel like it's finished?
No, the project is not finishing. I can finish it, but the project goes on. I hope
indefinitely.
Yeah.
Is that what the nature of philosophy is to you? That it's sort of always developing, always growing, always
it's
building.
A kind of Eastern philosophy. It's not the aim. It's the road. It's the Tao of the Eastern philosophy. It's the way you go. It's the journey, not the final aim.
Yeah. And so after 84 years, what's your journey? How have you done the journey that you wanted to do?
Sometimes in my good days I have the feeling yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are there regrets? I mean, 84 years.
And no.
No regrets?
No, what? There is no sense in regret. You have to learn from your mistakes and your faults, but regretting does make you feel bad.
At what point in your life did you start to develop this sort of way of thinking, this idea of
I didn't know if I did start it myself. I don't even think that I am creating my writings. I'm the voice, but I don't think I hear things and I write it down. So
it's a very religious way of looking at it.
Yes, it's kind of, it's what you said about the Jungerian, the collective consciousness.
And is that was that also the same way that you felt even before you were working as a philosopher?
No, but they're happening things in your life you can't explain others than that it happened to you.
Mm-hmm. So
there must be something that let it happen. How small is a change that something happens before you call it a wonder?
Or a miracle.
A miracle, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah. When it's something, it's always possible that it happens. What happened in my life that I was at the beach in Portugal. Was a kilometers long beach and 100 meters broad beach, sand. And I was there with my car. And then I had to go back to Amsterdam, and I lost my car keys. Couldn't find them anymore. Nobody around, no telephones, nobody. And I walked onto the beach a long time, a long distance, a couple of 100 meters, and then I kicked in the sand, and my car keys came up. So I experienced it as a miracle.
Is that sort of your truth in a way? Is that your truth, your idea of truth, your experience, and whether it's a coincidence or a miracle to you personally, it felt miraculous, and so it becomes sort of your truth.
Even for miracles, it's then some things happen, and you can do as if it is a miracle.
Just like as if there was a God, as if there was a miracle, as if there was a God.
Yeah. So you don't have to discuss anymore if God exists and if miracles exist, but you can do as if they exist, and that's a good way to communicate with people.
Is that kind of your idea behind why philosophy should no longer be described as an academic course with a capital P, but should just be described as a small p, because it's, it sounds like you think it should never be finished, that it's something
you can do that without it. There must be a professional philosophy too, where people are discussing with each other about the meaning of some, but there must be a kind of philosophy that helps you in your way of life. And that is for everybody, not only for philosophers in a professional way. Richard Rorty, that's the American philosopher. That philosophy is a way of living, different is Rorty.
Okay. And that's an idea that you embrace?
Yeah, half of the ideas. There must be philosophers who, both.
Because when you started down this road of philosophy and this road of open thinking, it was long before where we are now, where in Western society, where ideas like meditation are widely accepted, where people accept the idea of self-development and bettering yourself in general. How have you coached people to accept the idea of bettering themselves?
I made my programs and I wrote my things, and that's what I can do, and I hope that people can do something with it. But that's it.
And what do you hope people get out of your magnum opus when it's released? Aside from what's on the website, but when the book itself is released.
What I hope is that they accept the idea that it's one of my books, and one of the chapters of my work it's called A Strange Loop. That's a combination of science, art, philosophy, and mysticism. And if you do that, if you accept that and you develop the four faculties in you, then I think we are going a step in the direction of a peaceful world.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it there because I know that it's King's Day, or it's almost King's Day, and you've got a very busy night ahead of you, especially in the city center, and that you have to go back. So I just want to thank you very much for all the time that you've taken to discuss some of your ideas and some of your thoughts. And I must say, I also wish, I can read in Dutch, luckily, but I wish more of your work was available in English for people to, outside of the Netherlands, to be able to enjoy it and learn from it.
Yeah, well, it was my pleasure, and I have to apologize for my bad English.
No, you don't have to apologize for your bad English.
Yeah.
I think your English is just fine. But thank you so much for all of your time. I thank you.
My pleasure again. Yeah.
Damn Yankee is produced in partnership with NL Times, the top choice for English language news from the Netherlands. Founded nearly 15 years ago, NL Times grew to become the #1 site for information about this country, featuring more news stories every day of the week than any other website. Keep tabs on the latest top stories and breaking news from across the entire country, not only in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague. Find out more at nltimes.nl. All of André's work, including his magnum opus, is available for free right now, though you need to read Dutch, on his website, andreklukhuhn.nl. Damn Yankee is an NL Times production. The show was created by Rizzo and myself, and this episode was produced by Rizzo.